You are Locked On Warriors POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Warriors POSTCAST. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And tonight, the Warriors needed a second-half comeback to do it, but they held off the NBA's worst team, the Washington Wizards, in a 122-114 win as they returned home to Chase Center. And Draymond Green got the start today after missing the prior three contests, but exited just 3 minutes into this game with a back injury and was noticeably limping after this game. Steph Curry also coming out in the closing minutes of this game with an ankle injury after turning that left ankle again. Both of these things very concerning going forward for the Warriors. It is all hands on deck. And the lack of a defensive presence, of Draymond's defensive presence, was noticeable as the Wizards shot the cover off the ball from beyond the arc, the only reason they were really in this one. But the Warriors got solid contributions from Steph Curry and Andrew Wiggins again, and Wiggins is starting to turn it on as of late. Everyone else on the team pitched in just enough for the Warriors to get this win. Special shout out to the boys in the paint, TJD and Kevon Looney doing work tonight. We'll break it all down, but first I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please, if you aren't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Warriors podcast feed, making us your first listen following these Dubs games. Make sure to check out the Locked On Warriors Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Charlie Walter does a great job. And from first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting, as if they weren't exciting already. Commanders, Washington's other team, playing in a barn burner with the Lions right now. And right now, new customers can bet $5 You get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's FanDuel.com to get started. And in this one, focusing back to the NBA now and focusing on this Washington team, not the other Washington team, which, man, oh man, if you haven't seen that Commanders Lions result yet, you should definitely check that one out. But tonight, the Washington Wizards is who the Golden State Warriors were focused on. And Jordan Poole, Draymond Green matchup, coming back to Chase Center, that still has some juice to it. We all know the story. We don't need to rehash the punch and all that, but you know that every time Jordan Poole comes here, he's going to play his best basketball. And you saw it from him tonight. Jordan Poole was just, doing everything for the Wizards. 38 points on 12 of 25 shooting, 8 of 15 from three-point land. He also had 5 boards and 5 assists. So Jordan Poole really doing a ton for the not for the Golden State Warriors, but for the Washington Wizards. The former Warrior really giving it back to the Dubs today. And I'm not going to say that there's he was sitting there the whole game thinking about this issue between him and Draymond, but it makes it a lot easier when I'm sure for a guy like Jordan Poole when Draymond Green is not out there, not just for the taking away the added mental stuff that's going to inevitably be going on, but it's Draymond Green, and he is one of the best defenders in the NBA. Without him on the court, the Wizards just really did a lot from beyond the arc, and Draymond, obviously he's playing that interior defender role where he's kind of freelancing a little bit, but still he's the guy who keeps everybody else on task, on schedule. And when he's not out there, when you don't have your defensive captain, guys get lost in transition, guys get lost on switches. And tonight, the Warriors perimeter defense wasn't very good to start, but it picked up later on in the game. But once the Wizards started seeing those shots go in, they just kept falling, and the Warriors struggled. Conversely, three-pointers for the Warriors, they did not shoot the ball very well, just 14 of 41, 34% from beyond the arc. Meanwhile, they gave up 22 threes to the Wizards on 45 attempts. That's 48.9% from three-point land for the Washington Wizards. It was really tough for the Warriors trying to keep pace with this team in the first half. You barely got the lead going into the fourth quarter, which was absolutely huge. That third quarter, waning minutes of it, you had a couple three-point plays, guys getting to the line. Moses Moody with a big three-point play there at the very end of the quarter. And the Warriors, big deal in my opinion. They had an opportunity in that closing minutes of that third quarter to finish with the last shot of the quarter and they did it successfully. Granted, that shot did not go in, but you already had a 2-point lead before you had that possession start. And I thought it was really important for the Warriors to take a lead going into this fourth quarter because they've only had one win all season long when they've been trailing to start the fourth. So really big moments here at the end of the third quarter for the Warriors to take that lead. Andrew Wiggins, Moses Moody making some good plays. And again, just not messing up in that final possession. Like, I mean, how many times have we seen the Warriors blow the ending to a quarter with a bad turnover or a quick shot or just, a foul, a dumb foul or something like that. And then the other team ends up getting inevitably a bucket to close out the quarter, a little bit of momentum to carry them into the next quarter. And it just hurts the Warriors. This is something we've been seeing from them all season long. So great job by the Warriors to close out this quarter successfully and to be able to sustain that lead going into the fourth. And then in that fourth quarter, the Warriors started to pull away. Kyle Kuzma did his best in the start of that fourth for the Wizards to keep this one close. He really turned it on there. I mean, to start the fourth quarter, it seemed like he made like 3 or 4 shots in a row, a couple from beyond the arc. I mean, he was really starting to show you what he can do offensively. Super, super skilled scorer, Kyle Kuzma is. And I mean, you saw it on display there. He had 22 points for the Wizards tonight, but ultimately the Warriors were able to withstand the punches. And that's in large part tonight because of Andrew Wiggins. Dude had 31 points. He was ultra aggressive, 11 rebounds, 4 assists as well. And he was going downhill at the rim all night long. 6 free throws for Wiggins. He only made 3 of them. You want to see that number be better. But getting to the line without Jonathan Kuminga, the Warriors have figured out how to do that in these recent games, these last couple games. The free throws tonight for the Warriors, 24 of them, and they made 75% of those free throws. So those two things are very, very, very important for this team, especially when the shot's not falling. I mean, in that first half, the Warriors kept shooting the 3 ball over and over and over and over, and it was not going in. And in the second half, they didn't shoot it as much, and it went in at a better rate. The Warriors really doing an inside-out style offense in that second half and really predicated on Andrew Wiggins getting into the paint and also Dennis Schroeder. Dennis had a great game again tonight, 7 of 14 from the field, 20 points. He really, I mean, Dennis Schroeder, when he starts playing well, is going to make this offense hum at a different level that we've not seen it click at this season. I mean, this guy is a good veteran point guard. We know this. He was having career best numbers in 3-point shooting, field goal percentage, like points per game, all these different categories before he was traded to the Warriors. And him accessing some of that magic that he had at the beginning of the season is going to be vital for the Warriors in the second half. Now, as things go on, we keep hearing all this stuff out of the front office, out of Steph Curry's mouth himself, saying that the Warriors aren't going to be big buyers, or that it doesn't make sense for them to mortgage the future to go make a big trade right now and try and win now. So that puts even more pressure on guys like Dennis Schroeder, on guys like Andrew Wiggins, especially when you have no Jonathan Kuminga out there. And tonight, both of these guys really, really stepped up. Steph, he was hounded all night long from 3-point range. The Wizards did a great job of putting really young, athletic, long, lanky defenders on Steph and just not letting him get shots up. I mean, they just did not let Steph shoot 3-pointers in this game as much as he wanted to. He barely had any real clean looks from deep. Only 4 of 14 went in for Steph from beyond the arc, but he did a lot of his work in the paint. Steph breaking that defense down all the time tonight, one after the other, and really getting to the lane and using that layup package that he's got. And that's where Steph did most of his damage tonight. And it was a good thing that the Warriors didn't sit out there and chase the 3-point shot, because it really wasn't falling for them. I thought that if they were going to get into a 3-point shooting contest with the Wizards, that they were actually going to lose that battle tonight based on the way the Wizards were shooting. And thankfully, the Warriors, when they started to switch up their offensive plan of attack, they started to seize a little bit more control in this game, dictate the tempo and the pace. And really, I mean, a huge, huge factor in this one, the points in the paint and the second chance points. Man, the Warriors bigs really going at it tonight. Kevon Looney and Trayce Jackson-Davis making a huge impact. The Warriors win the rebounding battle by 8, and they win the second chance points battle 23-9. They really did a great job capitalizing on those extra opportunities that TJD and all these everyone else was affording them. It seemed like everybody on the Warriors was pitching in offensive rebounds tonight. I mean, you had 5 of them from TJD, though. This man has been on a rebounding mission. You also had 5 from Kevon Looney. You had 10 offensive rebounds out of your 2 centers tonight. That is a very, very, very good day at the office for the 2 of them. And just in general, I mean, Kevon Looney, 13 boards. Trace Jackson Davis, 15 boards. He had 28 rebounds between the 2 of them. 16 points between the 2 of them and 3 blocks as well. So, I mean, the Warriors bigs really doing a great job tonight against the Wizards and kind of, using some of that. You got Alex Sarr on Washington, he high draft pick this past year. And, he's been having a nice year out there. He's got the size, but the Warriors, I think, using some of that veteran experience to take it to those inexperienced Wizards bigs, and it paid off tonight. Kevon Looney and TJD doing a great job battling for boards inside, and this is now something that I've come to really expect from TJD. I mean, his rebounding has really come full circle, man. He's taken a huge step with this. Last year, Kerr called him out around the second half of the season, sort of around this time last year, and kind of put a lot at his feet and said the Warriors' success going down the end of the stretch of last season was really had a lot to do with how TJD was going to play and step up and fill in that center position. And he did a very good job last year. And this year, I've seen him take another step forward with his rebounding, especially on the offensive end of the floor. I mean, the number of tip outs that this guy has to other Warriors that ends up being extra points. I mean, you saw it tonight. That's the main reason the Warriors won this game tonight is 1, Andrew Wiggins, and 2, the effort on the interior, the second chance points, the rebounds, all of that you can attribute to Kevon Looney and TJD. And I mean, those 2 guys really did such a phenomenal job in the paint tonight. It can't be overstated enough. I mean, the Warriors need those 2 guys to go get rebounds, especially with Jonathan Kuminga out. You have nobody else on this team who's going to get boards. If Draymond Green and Jonathan Kuminga are gone, what are you going to rely on Andrew Wiggins for all your rebounds? No. I mean, you had to have TJD and Kevon Looney go in there and clean that glass all night long, and they did. They stepped up, rose to the challenge, played a physical brand of basketball, and the Warriors needed that. And when you look at how they won this game and how they won in their last time out, it's in large part because of these extra efforts on the interior. I mean, they beat the Wolves in their last game, and it was in large part because of the way that those bigs played for the Warriors and those second chance points, those rebounds, and especially when you're playing against a team like the Timberwolves that's way bigger than you. And you kind of, they didn't beat the Wolves in many of those categories, but they held their own against them. And so it allows you to kind of lean on that as a strength, as an unexpected strength for a small team when you play a team like the Wizards. And I will say it is concerning that it took, till the fourth quarter, it took like all 48 minutes for the Warriors to put the Wizards to bed in this one. And that is concerning. The Wizards have 1 win all season long away from home. They're 1-16 on the road. And the Warriors damn near gave them their second win of the season away from Washington. You got the NBA's worst team. Almost came in here and beat the Warriors. And yeah, I know it could be a little bit of a trap game. You got the Celtics coming up next. The schedule starts to get pretty daunting over the next couple weeks, although you do have 8, including this one, 8 of the next 9 at home. So 7 of the next 8 after this win at home for the Warriors. This is a really, a pivot point of the season, a very, very, very important moment in the Warriors 2024-2025 season. And this homestand is, I think, going to really determine a lot that where we see this Warriors team end up at the end of the year, and many, many, many other permutations from this team. I think that this will kind of determine, what the Warriors do in the offseason. If the Warriors make a trade, all these things kind of hinge on these next couple weeks here at home. This little, California stand. It's not all a home stand, but they play all of their next 8 games in the state of California. They're going to be going up to Sacramento after they play the Celtics. So you get this whole West Coast vibe, and you got to get some wins during your time here in Golden State. You have to start winning games at home at Chase Center. If you want to be a playoff team, you have to win games at home. And right now, the Warriors are barely, just treading water, just barely above 500 at home and on the season with a 21-20 record. We are officially halfway through the NBA season. This is the single most important point, and we will explain why next on the other side of the Locked On Warriors postcast. Don't go anywhere. Today's show is brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash and non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to robinhood.com/boost for 8 times the national average savings account. Invest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and tonight the Warriors pull one out but struggle against the NBA's worst team, the Washington Wizards. They win 122-114, but you lose Steph in the process. He's clearly rolled up on that ankle at the end of the game. It's the same ankle that he's been having issues with all season long. Draymond Green comes out of this one 3 minutes into this game after missing the prior 3 contests. The Warriors have some tough opponents coming up next. Up next for the Warriors, the Boston Celtics, and then the Sacramento Kings. So the schedule is not, you get a lot of games at home coming up, but you got some tough opponents on there. You're going to see OKC. You're going to see the Orlando Magic. Excuse me. You're going to see the Phoenix Suns. You're going to see the Los Angeles Lakers. All of these teams have playoff aspirations or are currently in the mix for the playoffs as well. The Celtics, obviously, the one of the toughest teams on that list, and OKC, you can't forget about them. They are clearly the best team in basketball right now. So you have a lot of measuring stick type games against other top talent in the NBA. Chicago also on that list there in the playoff mix in the East as well. So, you got some tough competition coming up. If you're missing Steph and Draymond through this stretch, this is going to be really bad. The Warriors, they need to win. This has to be a winning homestand if you have any shot at like reinvigorating this team and getting some life back into it. Jonathan Kuminga hopefully will be making his return relatively soon. You saw him shed the walking boot, so that's a positive sign. But again, even with Kuminga, without Steph, without Draymond, this schedule is daunting as hell. And I don't know how the Warriors are going to be feeling on the other side of this. And if Steph misses a couple games, and if Draymond misses a couple games from this back thing, I don't think they're beating Boston. I don't think they're beating Sacramento. Maybe they beat Chicago if, Buddy Hield has one of those crazy early season Buddy Hield games. But, you're really, living on a hope and a prayer if Steph and Draymond are out for any extended period of time in these next couple weeks. And this is a huge point in the season because this is a definitive moment where you can make a stand at home. You can string some wins together at Chase Center, build some momentum, and use that as a springboard just into the second half of the season to start, winning some games, put something together. It feels like the Warriors haven't had a real win streak at all this season. They've, you win 2, you lose 3, you win 4, you lose 3. It's just been kind of, 2 steps forward, 2 steps backwards. You're 500 for a reason, right? Like they can't really string anything together. You had that nice stretch of wins in the beginning of the season. Their longest win streak was 5 games in a row when they won 7 of their first 8. But you look back on that, you beat up Washington, you beat up New Orleans twice, Utah, Portland in that mix. So like a lot of that was fool's gold at the beginning of the season. Looking back retroactively, we thought New Orleans was going to be better than they were. I don't think anyone thought Portland and Utah were better than they actually are, or Washington for that matter. But you ended up beating Houston in an overtime game. They beat Boston, but they didn't have Jaylen Brown. So anyways, the Warriors in the beginning of the season, when they did string these wins together, they were going up against weaker teams when they were at full strength. and other teams were missing guys. Now it's flipped on its head. The Warriors are missing all of their top talent, virtually all of their top talent. And you got all these world beaters coming into town, and the Warriors look like, it's like the lion hunting the prey, and the Warriors are on the wrong side of that equation right now. And got to figure something out, man, because as we get closer to that trade deadline, if this homestand you just flop, I mean, there is zero case that you can make for trying to trade for anybody to come in here and help this team out. And I mean, they've already kind of said that they're not going to make a big splashy move because they don't want to mortgage the future. Steph has said he's on board with this. Draymond has said he's on board with this. They've all said this very publicly. If you can't expect that this team is going to go actually, chase a ring if they're free falling in the middle of January. I mean, this could be the start of something bad. Maybe you get Brandon Podziemski back soon. He'll probably be back before Kuminga, but that's not enough, man. I mean, you have to have something from these guys. Now, you'll have a little bit of time to get ready. The Warriors don't play tomorrow, but they do play Monday. So a little bit of a quick turnaround here, not a back-to-back, but still a relatively quick turnaround to get ready for Boston. And that's going to be a tough matchup for the Warriors on MLK Day. It's a 2 p.m. start, a different start time than usual. Just should note that for that Boston Celtics game. Going to be on TNT. And the Warriors, in the worst way, need to string together some wins right now because this is the inflection point of the season. If you fall on your face here, you enter the trade deadline definitely not looking to buy. You kind of coast out the rest of the season, and you look to rework this team in the offseason and kind of get rid of some guys. Maybe this team looks different next year. But if you start to string together something here and you show that maybe Dennis Schroeder can give you something, you kind of have that hope in the back of your mind that Jonathan Kuminga can come back and reinvigorate this team. If Steph and Draymond avoid major injury and can come back and you start to put all these pieces together, maybe, just maybe, there's a little bit of a run in the Warriors. Maybe you can go then kind of justify going out and making a trade for to like improve the role players and maybe go get a Kelly Olynyk type guy. But you see what happens when the Warriors bench kind of steps up, and it has in the last couple of games. In the one kind of common denominator with that is GP2 kind of being that connector role, making his return against Minnesota and giving the Warriors a lift. Tonight, they really needed him, especially with Draymond Green out on the defensive end of the floor, and he really gave the Warriors a big lift. But this is another guy who is constantly hurt. He's kind of unreliable as far as his availability. When he's there, he's phenomenal. Nothing unreliable about GP2 when he's on the court. Just a matter of him getting on the court in the first place has been an issue for the Warriors as of late. But where's the help going to come from? I mean, is it going to be a different guy every night? I mean, tonight for the Warriors, Moses Moody gets a lot of minutes and it pays off. GP2, we just talked about him. What are you going to do in the second half of the season? What are you going to do if Steph Curry is gone and Draymond Green is gone for these next couple games at home? Where does the help come from? I mean, how do the Warriors survive this stretch and maybe, just maybe, pull off a couple wins on this very key homestand? We'll talk about that next. And just the bench production in general, because we got to get into all these different permutations, all these different guys who have really contributed in these last couple nights. I mean, tonight, you had 6 guys in double figures, 3 off the bench. Against the Wolves, you had another, plethora of Warriors in double figures. It's coming from all over the place. Is this a little bit of fool's gold like we got at the beginning of the year? Or has the bench kind of started to find some of that magic that they had in the early season? Let's talk about that next on the Locked On Warriors postcast. Today's show is brought to you by Skims. When I found out Skims was making underwear for men, I was intrigued. I've heard so much about their quality from friends and family, so I had to give it a try. And let me tell you, it lives up to the hype. I've always had issues with underwear fit, comfort, or just finding the right style for me. Skims changed all of that. Their men's line offers something for everyone, from boxer briefs to classic briefs, all designed with the perfect balance of comfort and style. I tried the Skims boxer brief, and I'm hooked. These are the perfect boxer brief for my activity lifestyle. They move with me, never lose their shape, and stay in place all day. Whether I'm working out or working or just running errands, they're the most comfortable and reliable underwear I've ever owned. Plus, the lightweight material feels amazing, almost like you're wearing nothing at all. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com/lockedonnba and Skims stores. Let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. Today's show is also sponsored by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, plus the variety of bets keeps every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings. Whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs, FanDuel has you covered. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and tonight the Warriors win 122-114 over the Wizards. And I mean, you needed everybody. Again, the same kind of thing that you needed in Minnesota where you had contributions from everybody. You had to have that again tonight. Contributions up and down this roster. I mean, we already talked a little bit about Looney and TJD, but you also had GP2 giving you 10 points off the bench, playing some great defense tonight. I mean, he was pretty much the only guy who seemed like he could stop Jordan Poole or anybody on the Wizards. And to be honest, I mean, didn't do a great job of it. I mean, 38 points for Jordan Poole. If you could have had GP2 just following him around all night long, that would have been much better, I think, defensively. But, you know, GP2 just coming back one game ago, literally. I don't think he has the run in him to play that many minutes. He's also, you know, not a guy who sees the floor for that many minutes a night, but he was effective tonight nonetheless. 19 minutes, 10 points, and really some great hustle, effort, motivation, the connectivity that you expect from GP2, and just the joy. I mean, we've heard Steph say multiple times this season how this team just lacks joy at certain points in time, and GP2 is an infusion of joy if I've ever seen one, man. I mean, tonight he was mic'd up, and GP2 mic'd up in any game is absolutely amazing, but especially when he has like a buddy on the other side. I mean, he had Jordan Poole, which you could tell that those two guys are still, you know, buddy and still talking pre and post game out on the floor. And so I think that GP2 kind of relishes those moments, and you saw in tonight's broadcast. I mean, GP2 leans over while he and Jordan Poole are waiting for some free throws to be shot, and he unties Jordan Poole's shoe. Jordan Poole immediately goes and snitches to the ref. Jordan Poole snitching, something we've all been familiar with in the past. And he starts saying, you know, this guy untied my shoe. GP2 says, prove it, man. And just kind of having that little fun back and forth, just getting in guys' heads. Like, GP2 is more than just an NBA player and a guy who's a great defender and you know, throws down alley-oops and has great hops. He kind of gets in your head. He plays these mind games, gets you a little bit distracted out there on the floor, and he's always talking. He's always chirping. He's kind of like Draymond's always doing those things, but GP2 is like ultra positive while he's doing it. He's not, you know, Draymond can say some questionable things out there. We've all heard the hot mics, but GP2 doesn't seem like he's coming with that same kind of fire and intensity, but he's still getting under your skin. Nonetheless, he's kind of just picking at you. And I love that. I love that the way this guy just leaves everything on the floor, uses all of the tools at his disposal. We've called Brandon Pajewski the great connector in the past, or Steve Kerr has, but I really think that title should go to GP2. I mean, the way that this team plays, the way that the second unit plays is so much better with him out there. And I think that he really is kind of, at this point, the main key to the recipe for this bench unit for the Warriors. With him out there, this bench looks substantially better, especially right now when you're missing all these guys, all these injuries. And Moses Moody, we're up against it here on the show. Not a ton of time left, but before we get out, got to give some shine to Moses. We've constantly complained this season that this guy doesn't get enough run, that he doesn't get enough minutes in these key moments. He always seems to make good plays. And tonight, Moses Moody leads the bench with 13 points and with 29 minutes, and he paid you off with that great play at the end of that third quarter in the gotta have it moments where Moses Moody got the and one and helped the Warriors win that third quarter at the very end there and keep that lead going into the fourth. A very, 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 very big moment in this game as the Warriors only have one come from behind win when they enter the fourth quarter trailing all season long. So glad Moses Moody got some time tonight. Glad that he played well. I think they're going to need really more of this from virtually everybody. Buddy has got to step up. Buddy Hield 6 points, 2 of 7 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3. Buddy Hield has desperately got to step up for the Warriors with his scoring, especially if Steph is out. I mean, it's got to come from somewhere. Let Buddy Buckets go out there and let him just let it all fly. And hopefully one of those threes finds the bottom of the net early. He sees it go in, and he just goes off on one of those Buddy Hield, going nuclear tears that he can. We haven't seen one of those in a while. So again, hoping for that is pretty dangerous if you're the Warriors. I don't know where else they go from here. You need to get healthy. At this point, it's just all hands on deck. You're missing Steph. You're missing Draymond, I'm presuming, for that Boston game. Hey, you're still missing Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Pajewski. Like, you have so many guys out. Somebody has to step up, whether it's Schroeder or Wiggins or GP2 or Moses Moody or really all of these guys. It's probably got to be all of these guys. The Warriors want a snowball's chance in hell of beating the Boston Celtics, the reigning NBA champions. We'll see how that goes. But for tonight, the Warriors win 122-114 over the Washington Wizards. I am so glad that they were able to pull out this win, because I would have been very upset if they did not. This would have been a much we already kind of said at the beginning of the show, they struggled to close this one out, and it left me feeling concerned. If they lost this game, the level of concern would be ultra, ultra high. But hey, they start this 9-game stretch of games in California, 8 of the next 9 at home with a win, and that's a good thing. So we'll live in that. We'll relish in this win for just a little while longer and take on the Boston Celtics on Monday, Martin Luther King Day, one of the best days in NBA, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun. So make sure we're tuning in for that one and tuning in to the Locked On Warriors postcast afterwards as we come to you live always, always, always. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure that you're liked and subscribed and following the channel. Turn on those notifications, and you won't ever miss a show. And you'll always get Triple E on the post game for your Warriors, for your Niners, and for your Giants. So make sure that you follow on all the appropriate Locked On channels and on the YouTube channel. And thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.